In today's video, we're talking about Elio, Pixar's latest original movie about a shy kid who accidentally becomes Earth's ambassador to an alien civilization. Now listen, Pixar's been on a bit of a roller coaster, but with Elemental, Inside Out 2, and now Elio, it feels like they're finally hitting their stride again. The question is, are we looking at a new Pixar classic or just another ambitious swing that never really connects? Let's talk about it. What's up, my dude? Your friendly neighborhood Tony here, and as I do with all my movie reviews, I'm gonna give you a little bit of information about Elio, then I'll go into the things I did and didn't like about the movie, and finally, I'll let you know if this movie is worth you seeing in theaters. Alright, so Elio is Pixar's latest original film, and it's not a sequel, which already makes it kind of a rarity these days. It follows an 11-year-old kid named Elio who accidentally gets beamed up to an alien spaceship and mistaken for Earth's official ambassador. So now this shy, awkward kid has to represent all of humanity in a galactic council full of strange alien species. The movie's directed by Adrian Molina, who's one of the co-directors of Coco, as well as Domi Shi, who's the writer-director of Turning Red, and Madeline Sharafian, who I think just did a short, something called Burrow. I haven't seen it yet myself. The movie stars Jonas Kibrib as Elio, Zoe Saldana as his aunt, and Brad Garrett and Jamila Jamil as a couple of the alien ambassadors. Now, it's been a long time coming for this one. It was originally announced way back in 2022, and it had a few delays and is finally hitting theaters now, in the middle of what's shaping up to be a pretty awesome summer for movies. So, going into Elio, I didn't have sky-high expectations, but I was hopeful. Pixar's been in kind of this weird place for the past few years. For every Turning Red or Elemental that connected with some audiences, you've got something like Lightyear, which just didn't land. So when I saw the trailer for Elio, it felt like Pixar was going for something a little different, kind of a quirky, cosmic, coming-of-age story with an original character at the center. And I'm always down for that. Plus, having Adrian Molina and Domi Shi direct definitely had me interested. Coco and Turning Red both hit emotionally and visually for me, so I figured Elio might carry some of that same DNA. That said, I also noticed this wasn't getting the same big marketing push as Inside Out 2. So yeah, I walked in cautiously optimistic, hoping for something heartfelt and unique, but trying to manage expectations just in case it ended up being one of Pixar's more forgettable entries. So let's start with what Elio does well, and there's some really good stuff here. First off, the core premise is super fun. A shy, daydreaming kid accidentally getting mistaken for Earth's ambassador and pulled into a galaxy-wide council for aliens. That's a great hook. It feels like something right out of the classic kids sci-fi novel, and it's refreshing to see Pixar try something that's both intergalactic and intimate at the same time. Visually, this thing looks great. The alien designs are wild and colorful. You can tell the animation team had a blast coming up with these weird creatures. Every space scene has this signature Pixar polish, and there's definitely a ton of creativity in the environments. It's absolutely the kind of music where young kids are going to be glued to the screen just trying to take it all in. I also really like the relationship between Elio and his aunt Olga. Zoe Saldana brings a lot of warmth to the role. She plays this government scientist who's trying to raise her nephew solo while also juggling her career and her own ambitions. Their dynamic is really sweet and grounded, and it gives the movie a more emotional core to hold on to, especially when the story starts getting a little chaotic. And honestly, Jonas Kilgrebe, the kid who voices Elio, does a great job. He brings the right mix of insecurity and optimism, and it's nice to see Pixar centering a kid character who isn't a super genius or anything like that. He's just a kid who feels like an outsider trying to figure himself out, and that is super relatable. Now, were there things I could nitpick? Sure. Some of the side characters in the Galactic Council feel a little thin, and a few of the plot threads will feel familiar if you've seen a lot of other Pixar movies, but personally, I didn't mind it. I really think it's more important that the emotional arc works, and it really does. Because underneath the sci-fi adventure and quirky alien designs, Elio is about identity. It's about figuring out who you are, not based on how other people define you, but based on what you believe about yourself. That idea of a kid who's not quite sure of his place in the world suddenly being told he represents all of humanity is such a powerful metaphor for how a lot of kids feel growing up. That pressure to represent something bigger than yourself, to figure it all out before you're ready. Totally relatable. And even though this is set in space and filled with aliens, it's also deeply human. There's this thread of grief and healing that that runs through the whole movie. Elio's parents are gone, and he's being raised by his aunt. And while that's never dwelled on in a heavy-handed way, you feel the weight of it in how he carries himself. In moments of loneliness, and also in the moments where he pushes himself to be brave. Elio maybe doesn't wear his emotions on his sleeve, but he also doesn't shy away from them. That balance is classic Pixar. Now, Elio is just hitting theaters this weekend, so there's no Blu-ray release yet, but if you're a fan of Pixar and if you're looking to build out your movie collection, this might be a great time to go back and revisit some of their best work. I'm gonna drop some links in the description to a few of my personal favorite movies that look and sound amazing on Blu-ray and 4K. Stuff like Inside Out and WALL-E and Coco and Ratatouille. If you haven't seen those in a while, or if you just never owned them physically, now is a good time to grab them. And yeah, those are gonna be affiliate links, which means that they help support the channel without costing you anything extra, and I really appreciate that. So here's the bottom line, Elio really surprised me. Not because it reinvented the Pixar formula, but because it leaned into what they've always done well. Telling heartfelt, imaginative stories with a lot of emotional truth. The performances work, the world building is fresh, and it's just weird and charming in a way that really stuck with me. I didn't find all that much to complain about, and honestly, I think it's one of Pixar's strongest original stories in a while. It's not gonna hit everybody the same way, but if you like movies that blend humor and heart with a little bit of cosmic weirdness, this one's definitely gonna be worth your time. It's definitely worth seeing in theaters, especially if you've got a family or just wanna support original animation. And really, I wouldn't be surprised if this one ends up being one of those movies that people come back to years from now and just realize how special it is. So I'm curious, you're gonna check out Elio? If you've seen it already, what'd you think? Did it land for you in the way that classic Pixar movies do, or do you feel like it's a swing and a miss? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. And again, if you want to pick up some of my favorite Pixar movies on Blu-ray, I've linked to a few of them in the description. If you like this kind of review, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Otherwise, I'll catch you next time. Be good.